The atmosphere here at Media Day is exhilarating, but no one gets quite as exhilarated as Tom Brady when he's on the field. We asked some of the Patriots players what it's like playing with such an intense player. These next 2 months will give Brandon Knight a chance to showcase his abilities to the Phoenix Suns, as he will be a restricted free agent this offseason. Most college programs save their toughest opponents for later in the season, but ASU baseball has already played 2 top 5 teams just 2 weeks into the season. But the difficult start could pay dividends later on. Fans will be able to pose with the Lombardi Trophy here at the Phoenix Convention Center until it is moved at 3 p.m. on February 1st, the day of the Super Bowl, where it will find a new home in either Seattle or New England. A win on Friday would give the Sun Devils a share of first place in the Pac-12 with Oregon State. In Tempe, Kevin Longley, Cronkite News. One of the objectives of mixed martial arts is to knock out an opponent, and with that objective comes great risk of receiving a concussion.
I'd always told myself, if I started feeling the effects of that or noticing, changes in the way, in my daily life, that would be it. In the sport, it's obviously dangerous to your health.
According to the American Journal of Sports Medicine, 13% of fights result in knockouts and 19% of fights are decided by technical knockouts, meaning a referee stops the fight due to too many strikes to the head.
Probably my memory's not as good as it once was, I feel like, so that could be a repercussion of the sport.
Knowing that I was going into a fight and striking, you do think about head injuries and getting knocked out, and that's a fear you have. Nobody wants to get knocked out.
But MMA organizations are taking precautions to combat concussions. The UFC holds fighters out of competition for extended periods of time after being knocked out.
Suspension for a knockout could be anywhere between 30 to 60 days. In some cases, we would even recommend an indefinite suspension for someone who's received multiple concussions over their career.
While sports such as football are focused on improving equipment to mitigate blows to the head, MMA fighters are combating the issue with improved technique.
Fighters get better, we're harder to hit, you're not taking the clean shots, you're not just standing in front of each other, bar brawling anymore. There's a lot more technique to it.
I think technique is getting better. I think training is getting better. Training and coaching is getting better. We don't just send a guy in and spar 5 times a week and they get a brain injury the next day and they get a knockout, or get knocked out and have a concussion, come back to training, spar again. If you get knocked out, you're out for a while. It takes a long time, and we understand this now. It takes a long time for your brain to heal.
Dr. Atta says using headgear or changing the rules of MMA is unlikely, but fighters are being encouraged to see concussion specialists after being knocked out. In Phoenix, Kevin Longley, Cronkite News. Cactus League officials are celebrating a record spring training. The league drew nearly 1.9 million fans, more than ever before.
We had a great spring this year. The attendance was great. The weather obviously helped this year. We didn't have any rain days or anything like that, and that obviously makes a big difference.
Upon moving to Ho-Ho-Com Stadium in Mesa, the Oakland Athletics saw their attendance rate rise by more than 50% from 2014, the biggest year-over-year growth in the Cactus League.
It's the inaugural year in Ho-Ho-Com, so I think even for local residents like myself, it made me want to be here.
A team's performance also plays a role.
When the team's coming off a pretty good year, we usually see a pretty good spike.
The Cactus League was home to both of this year's World Series participants, the San Francisco Giants and the Kansas City Royals, for the first time in 4 years.
You look at the Royals just alone. They probably had the best spring training they've ever had, ever. And they went to the World Series, so that makes a big difference.
The success teams had with drawing fans naturally spilled over into the local economy.
We know the hoteliers seem very happy with the occupancy rates and with the revenue that they saw. We know that many of the attractions saw record numbers.
League consultant Robert Johnson also attributes the record attendance figures to some advantages he perceives the Cactus League having over Florida's Grapefruit League.
In Florida, you drive for hours to see a game that gets rained out. You stay in tiny towns with no really good hotels. In the Cactus League, you are in a top 10 metropolitan market with 5-star hotels, first-class dining, and you can see 2 games a day without having to ever change hotel rooms.
According to attendance numbers from each league, the Cactus League drew 400,000 more fans than the Grapefruit League in 2015, despite hosting the same number of teams. But Johnson says the league is ready for more.
The ballparks and the schedule can handle a lot more fans than are coming today. And what we want is we want to fill those seats with people who are coming from out of state. We want new money.
The Arizona Office of Tourism expects to release results on the Cactus League's economic impact in May. In Phoenix, Kevin Longley, Cronkite News.